And that.
I'm not sure what's better, the montage or the National Treasures game-winning call. It's all good when you're on top of the world looking down on creation, and the only explanation I can find is... Oh, you know what we should have done? It's really cheesy. We could have played the Carpenters' Top of the World. Have you ever heard it before? Oh, it's so cheesy.
I don't know if I have.
And I'm looking, I'm on top of the world and looking down on creation, and the only explanation I can find. It's a cheesy love song by the Carpenters, Karen and her sister Richard. And but Top of the World is very good.
There's a R&B hip-hop song from Brandy and Mace.
Okay.
I would say late 90s, early 2000s, called Sitting on Top of the World.
Sitting on Top of the World.
That would make more sense for the Wild right now, because they actually are.
Wait, it only took you 6 minutes and 35 seconds, and that was with a 3.5-minute montage before you to mention your Wild
Which team has the best record in their respective leagues, the Vikings or the Wild?
I've got all the notes.
I rest my case.
I've got all the notes. I'm up to date on the Minnesota Wild, but I think you do realize this. The Vikings is still our bread and butter, but the Wilds are becoming a close second because they're very, very good.
Imagine Dragons has a song called Top of the World as well.
Do they?
I'm on top of the world. Hey. I'm on top of the world.
Is the Imagine Dragons one? Are either of those who did you say was
Brandy and Mace?
Is Brandy and Mace, is it montage worthy though? Because sometimes the songs are too slow when you're talking about what happened yesterday and it's nothing's going to stop us now kind of a thing. We're on top of the world. That's even like the Carpenter song is a little. So see if you can find it. We can just play the beginning of it real quick. Or were we in trouble? Then do you have to chop that
I'll have to chop it out, yeah.
Well, can you chop it out anyway?
Sure.
Yeah, because it's really cheesy, but it works. It would have been better back in 1975, but the Vikings weren't on top of the world. Well, I guess they were in 1975. That was the Drew Pearson game. It's probably not even in the system, is it?
Man, they got lots of Christmas songs, the Carpenters do.
Yeah, they do. I'm not even
Doesn't appear to be the system.
It doesn't appear to be in the system. Couple of things I did want to get to. First of all, tend to be, I don't know if you're aware of this, but in the Skip Barber Racing School, they will tell you if you turn into a skid, or if you go into a skid, turn in the direction of the skid. My Skip Barber Racing School experience, education, came in, paid dividends today. I was coming off of Highway 61 and Highway 10 from the Posh and Tony Woodbury area. And when you're coming off that, you make this big, you hit the cloverleaf and you make this big sweeping right to left entrance onto 94 from 6191. I started to slide. I didn't realize it was still that slick. Car started going sideways. So I immediately went to my Skip Barber Racing School knowledge. When you turn into a skid, turn in the direction of the skid, which I did. And then, of course, instead of hitting your brake, that's the immediate reaction of most drivers. 99 out of 100 people, if the car starts to slide, they'll hit the brakes. That's the worst thing you can do because now you're going to lock it up. Now the car is going to start spinning in circles. And you're going to, speaking of a montage music, you're going to do a Billy Preston, Will It Go Round in Circles. But when you let off the accelerator, the car immediately straightens out. So I prevented myself from creating some type of havoc on the roadway today, thanks to Skip Barber. Did you find the song?
Yes.
Yeah. I know you don't want to chop this up, but I think it's worth. I want you to hear how bad it is, but it would work.
2 issues.
Okay.
Not exactly the energy you're looking for in a montage.
Well, probably not.
Second would be any song written before 1980. They made them so much shorter then.
Yeah.
Like
that's two.
This one's 2 minutes and 58 seconds. We need more time for highlights. Yeah. We need a longer song, so we'd have to extend it. Here's the. I'm not going to go through the whole song, but the chorus of the Imagine Dragons song, I think it might work.
Let me ask you this, though.
Yeah.
Do you think the feel and the message in the Carpenter song would have fit? I mean, the lyrics are perfect, but you're right. It's too short and it's not as energetic, but the lyrics are absolutely spot.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a feeling of wonder coming over me, man.
All right, here's the chorus of the Imagine Dragons song.
Yeah, that's got plenty of potential. I think that works because I'm feeling like we're on top of the world is what we are after yesterday's game. I sent you a congratulatory note. I didn't get one in return. I think the Vikings are going to win the division. I get people that will send me these things. They're saying I'm doing a like reverse psychology.
Above average.
What matters most in the National Football League is your health as you're heading down the stretch run, and the Lions are decimated. We've signed 3 guys just in the past 3 days off the couch to start defensively for us because they're decimated. While the Vikings are pretty healthy for the most part right now, we don't know about Steph Gilmore yet, right?
Yeah.
That's possible. That could be serious. But other than that, I think the Vikings overall, aren't we pretty healthy? The Kitties are not. Defensively, they're in trouble. Now, could they continue to outscore teams? You saw it in the Bears game. They were starting to give up a lot of yardage because they lost some key players. But the Vikings continue to find ways to win. The Cardinals certainly help the Vikings. There's plenty There's plenty of ground to cover when it comes to the Vikings. You talked about your Minnesota Wild. They now have the best record. Are we tied with Winnipeg for the most points?
We are. We played one less game, so technically we're in first.
So we are in first place. We are the best. We have the most points in the National Hockey League. Things are going very, very well. The game didn't go like maybe Brother Peter wanted it to. A lot of childishness, not just at Big House, but at 3 other stadiums where there was brouhahas after games. When I didn't realize it was the big thing now was to stick a flag.
So dumb.
Yeah, it's just preposterous. But and then of course, who was it? Some former NFLer. Who did the old "let the boys be boys"?
Baker Mayfield.
Yeah,
because he did it. Yeah.
What a clown. Anyways, there's so much to get to. Let's take a break. We'll come back. It's by the way, we have Toys for Tots tomorrow. We'll talk a little bit about that. We'll be broadcasting live from Shields and Eden Prairie. So plenty to get to here on the Common Man program right here on The Fan.
The Fan.
Don't miss out on the Power Trip Morning Show when they take over Treasure Island on February 6th and 7th.
Sounds funny.
Be there for tons of games, laughs, and great prizes, including Vegas trips to watch the big game. Book your stay using the promo code KFAN for both the 6th and the 7th to save 15%. To get the full details and book your stay today, head over to KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
I'd like to give away Vegas trips. Why can't we do that?
Yeah, trips to the big game. I'd like to give that away.
That's right. We're not the Power Trip. Inundated with text messages on our Brad John Bryant KFAN text line 64686. By the way, we're broadcasting from the cozy confines of the climate-controlled 651 Carpets Plus studios, home of the next day install. Go to 651carpetsplus.com and get all your carpeting and flooring needs taken care of by our friends at 651 Carpets Plus. Got my hard hat ready, eagerly awaiting this montage. Here's another. Does anyone know someone in masonry? Brick wall, dead. Here's another. What a way to start a new month, by running through a brick wall. Well done, young man. And it goes on and on and on. Here's another one. Does anyone know a good mason? That brick wall stood no chance. Common, I was going to say best montage ever, but your singing voice is as bad as mine. Can't wait for the grump. Here's one. Great. Thanks to the montage, we will lose the next 5 games and miss the playoffs. Now, come on. Now, let's not get negative. Let's not do that Minnesota doom and gloom waiting for the other shoe to drop. This one says, I just ran through 3 brick walls to get outside as fast as I could to save my spot on the Vikings championship parade route. And then he finishes it by saying, let's play. And it goes on and on and on as people are excited. And then there are other people that are quoting the Carpenters song. I'm not the only fan of the Carpenters. Someone said, let me save you some dough and sing it for you. And then he put out every single word. Just really, really, really well done. I think everybody is, I think everybody's really happy right now. I know there were boos going on at the stadium yesterday. And it didn't get off to a very good start for the soon-to-be big game world champion Minnesota Vikings. It's been another one of those interesting seasons. If you remember, Tenneby, KOC's first season, I think I declared it as, I know it didn't end the way we wanted, but it was the most exciting season. I liked it even better then, and I know everybody else, especially you have a soft spot in your heart for 98. I also have a soft spot in my heart for 09. But I just enjoyed 2 years ago when we went 13-4 because of, much like this year, I think, we've been involved in 8 one-score games. We are 7-1 in one-score games. That's a nice record to have. We were 11-0 in one-score games in 13 when we went 13-4, including the greatest come-from-behind victory in the history of the National Football League against the Colts at the Bank. We were down 33-zip and it came back and won. We also had the incredible game against Buffalo on the road. Having lived in Minnesota, I know something about weather patterns. Calcutta swings up, down, lakefront influence, and out. It wouldn't have been a typical October 31st in Buffalo, New York. This season is very much, I think, and not maybe not the way it's happening, but I just like. It looked like they were donezo yesterday at times when the Falcons went up 19-6. Now I didn't think, well, it's over, because I know the Vikings have a penchant for coming from behind and winning one-score games. They did that yesterday, but this game, the Bears game, didn't look good. What other games have looked like they were? It looked like
the Jacksonville one.
The Jacksonville looked like their goose might be cooked there, and yet we find a way to win. And yesterday was just quintessential. Come from behind. They go up 19-6. We do nothing in the first half. I had some numbers here. Let's see if I can find them, because I jotted down a couple of notes again. In my I have a note page on my phone that I started to use now, tend to be. But yeah, here it is. First half, Vikings trail 9-6. They're lucky they weren't trailing by a lot more than that. Listen to these numbers, Tenneby. First half, the Vikings were outgained 228-75. 75 yards is all the offense could muster in the first half against the Cardinals. The Cardinals rolled up 228 yards. Time of possession, the Cardinals was 18:34. So what does that put the Vikings at? 11-something?
Yeah, 11-26.
Yet they're only trailing 9-6. And that's why, as you're watching the game, you just have this feeling, at least I did at the time, the Cardinals, no matter what they did, no matter if they started to put some space between them and the Vikings were going to find a way to win. It got to 19-6, and then KOC sort of changed what he was doing a little bit. He even admitted he got a bit more aggressive. They started to play a little quicker, without being reckless. Yeah. And after really the offense basically doing nothing for 2.5 quarters or what, I don't remember when we scored our first touchdown. Was that in the fourth, or was it sometime? I think it was still sometime in the third.
I think our only 2 touchdowns were the...
Okay, fourth quarter. They finally started to get a bit more aggressive.
No, we had third and fourth quarter. I'm sorry.
Okay. They started to get a bit more aggressive without being reckless. We scored like in an instant. I think it was 6 plays. It couldn't have been more than a 2 or 3 minute drive. Darnold started throwing the ball. He threw it with authority. He threw it into spots again. He was throwing it into some tight windows. And they just drove down the field. And suddenly it's 19-13. Then they kick a field goal to make it 19-16?
Yes. We kind of stalled.
In 19-16.
At 11, 12 yard line there.
And then, what's the Gannon kid's name? Not Rich, but the coach for the Cards.
So John?
John Gannon basically told the Vikings, here, I'm going to give you an opportunity to win the game. Vikings defense deserves a lot of credit.
They did plenty of bending yesterday.
Well, they did plenty.
But not as much breaking.
Yeah. The Cardinals got the ball deep into Vikings territory late in the game. We were, I wish I had that.
4th and goal from the 4.
Right, but before that, they weren't they like 1st and goal from the 10? And they had 2 penalties back to back. It happened in the first half as well. Weren't there 2 penalties back to back? Wasn't there like an offsides or a false start? And then I think Kyler got called for intentional grounding, right? So they're going backwards now instead. They're able to get it to 4th and 4. And here's where Greg Olsen, who I think, and I know this is controversial and most people don't agree with me, I think he's the best NFL analyst in the game. I don't think there's anybody better. You don't have to like Greg Olsen, but you have to respect him. He said exactly what I was telling Deuce. Deuce was in town for Thanksgiving. I'm like, you have to go for it here on 4th and 4. 4th and goal from the 4. If you score, it's game, set, match. It's over. You're on the road. What are you doing? Instead, they decide to kick a field goal. Now, think about what that did for the Vikings. By kicking a field goal, you force Minnesota's hand to have to go for a touchdown. They can't settle for a field goal anymore. Which what you did is you allowed O'Connell and the Vikings to say, we're 4-down territory from here on out. And look what happened. 4th and 5, they decided to pass. Now, had it been a 3-point game at that point, that would have been a long field goal, right? 55, 56, 57 yards. I still think at that time, what do you think O'Connell does? It's 4th and 5 with a couple minutes to go. Do you kick the field goal and try to tie it, or you try to get the first down? Well, they had no choice at that point. And then Darnold hit JJ with the first down. They went in and scored, and they won the game. Whereas if the Cardinals score the touchdown, they win.
It's a ball game.
And if you don't, well, you still have a 3-point lead. And I get it. Now the Vikings only need a field goal to tie it and a tutty to win either way. But now you make them have to make a decision on 4th down. They can't just automatically go, well, we're going for it now because we need 6. They probably would have tried a field goal. Kid might have made it, may not have, but they just played right into Minnesota's hands, and Minnesota took advantage. The defense was very good again. Darnold was spot on, no turnovers. In those last 3 drives, the Vikings scored points, due in large part to what Sam Darnold did. And the team's on a roll. Everybody knows that. And they're the Vikings know where to find the Lions, too. They're going to be at their front porch in Pontiac. That should be a hell of a game if it gets that far. I really do have concerns about Detroit's defense right now, though, because they are decimated by injuries. But
that was a peek at the purple.
That was, oh, that's right. I'm sorry about that. Peek at the purple brought to you by our friends at Affordable Electric. They came over and they did a complete look at my electrical system at home and gave me some ideas of what I need to do. A couple of things that I'm going to do for sure. Affordable Electric, they will give you same day or 24-hour service. They will never, ever start work without giving you an estimate. Affordable Electric. Shockingly affordable. Go to affordable-electric.com. Peek at the purple here on The Fan.
Contest page and enter for your chance to win tickets to see your Minnesota Wild take on the Utah Hockey Club on January 23rd. Thanks to Custom One Exteriors, the official home partner of the Minnesota Wild. That's KFAN.com, keyword contest to enter.
Level 13-14 pass Common Man program. I'm Common. He's Tennessee. Here until 3 o'clock. Mark Rosen out all week. He's in Turks in Caicos. No! So no Mark Rosen.
Lieber spot.
Lieber spot, exactly. I was texting and talking with Lieber yesterday more than most people would know. Head coach, 1 o'clock scheduled, correct? Day after the game news conference scheduled for 1 o'clock. We'll carry it for you when it begins. It's usually a few minutes after 1 o'clock. We'll tap dance a little bit and figure things out. Toys for Tots tomorrow. Yeah, Minnesota Vikings, United States Marine Corps, and the Fan. And Toys for Tots. We are doing our annual Toys for Tots broadcast. We've been doing it for years. We've done it it started at, I think the very first one might have been at Galleons. This was before Dick's took over the Galleon spot. That was over on 494 and 35. Then we moved over to MOA. We had the large rotunda for a while, and then they sort of thought, Maybe you guys aren't as big time as you think you are. So then they moved us over to the rotunda over by one of the department stores in the, I think it was in the southeast corner. And then we went to, what's the place down in Lakeville?
Fleet Farm.
Fleet Farm. And went to Fleet Farm for, that was 3 or 4 years, I believe. And now we've set up shop at Shields in Eden Prairie. Wonderful location. What's nice about Shields, too, is I guess the same with Fleet Farm, and I guess the Mall of America. There was an opportunity for, if you wanted to donate to Toys for Tots, if you wanted to give an unwrapped toy to a girl or boy, especially teenagers. Teenagers seem to be left out of the gift-giving season on Toys for Tots, and it's just kind of natural because you're thinking it's Toys for Tots, and so you give to younger kids, but you can pick something up right there. You don't even have to go somewhere. You don't have to make 2 stops. Go somewhere else to buy something and then head over to Shields. You can make it a one-stop shop over at Shields. All the shows will be broadcasting live. Power Trip Morning Show, Paul Allen Project, the Common Man Program, and Bumper to Bumper with JG and Big Ticket. And Tenneby, I think I can let the cat out of the bag, right, about who we have as guests. We will have 2 guests tomorrow. Shaq, where you at? I'm over here.
Shaq, where you at?
I'm over here. Shaq Griffin, who had the game-sealing interception yesterday, will join us. And also, Tenneby, TJ Hawkinson, tight end extraordinaire. What I like about that is I played the position, so TJ and I have a lot in common. In fact, when I played both sides of the ball. I was a fierce pass-rushing, Rock of Gibraltar run-stopping defensive lineman, and, much like Hawkinson, a precise route-running, sure-handed pass-catching tight end. So he and I have a lot in common. So those 2 players will be our guests tomorrow. Stop by. We'd love to have you. And please bring an unwrapped gift. We take cash as well. Cash donations are good, too. And Timmy, I always like to remind our listeners, we have a reputation, our listeners in the show, of really digging down deep during the Toys for Tots. Anytime we do anything for charity, our listeners really step up to the plate. And so we're looking forward to that tomorrow. So we'll be broadcasting live tomorrow. So no PJ Flex show. Did I see on our calendar, is that being shifted to another day, or is it just not happening?
That's going to be Wednesday now.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
So Wednesday, I don't
think it'll be PJ Fleck. It'll be the Ben Johnson.
I've said this before. I don't know why you wouldn't have one more coming off that win over Wisconsin and the Axe.
It's only previewing.
Yeah.
Is when they do the football.
Because I would love to hear what he has to say. Bring the Axe and bring some of the players that participated, and then look ahead toward a bowl game. I think we do a special bowl game edition, but I could be wrong there too. But
if it were me, I would suggest having a PJ Fleck show noon to 1, then a Ben Johnson show 1 to 2. I would just do both shows.
That's what I would do. Or do them together. Maybe it just wouldn't work this way. It'd be too busy. But I think one time PJ and the kids came over for Toys for Tots once, didn't they?
Probably.
I think they came over one time and participated in Toys for Tots. But nonetheless, that's the situation as it stands. Here's a text message, Tenneby, that came in on our Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line as soon as I can find my button bar here. It says, comment, I asked this question of the morning show and never got a response, maybe because they just didn't know how to answer it, so I'll ask you. Or they just didn't see it because they don't check their text messages, but that could be a whole other thing. On the Vikings' last tutty, why were they trying to score so fast? It was almost like they were in the hurry-up with over 2 minutes to go in the game. In that situation, you have to slow things down and score your tutty with 15 or 20 seconds remaining in the game instead of over a minute to go in the game. Had the Cardinals not thrown a pick, they more than likely go down and kick the winning field goal. Your thoughts? What do you think, Tenneby? I mean, that was something to consider.
I had mentioned on Twitter, hey, we need to score, but don't score too quickly, right? Because Arizona had moved the ball all day long, and once you score, they're only up a point. They just got to get into field goal range,
Correct.
Which, when you're basically starting from your 30-yard line these days, you don't have to go very far to get into field goal range. But it sounds like they were having more success going faster. That was on purpose in the second half to try to pick up the tempo a little bit. And ultimately, you still need to get into the end zone.
Yep.
So you could also do let's try to slow it down a little thing, and then you end up not getting into the end zone at all. So you need to get the 7 points regardless. And you know what? Your defense has got to make a stop every once in a while.
And you know what? And the defense was they played extremely. This defense has had, it seems like in most every game, a lot of bend but don't break moments. I know we like to think this defense is a combination purple people eaters, fearsome foursome, steel curtain, doomsday, killer bees, any other defensive nicknames I'm leaving out?
Legion of Boom?
Legion of
Doom, whatever they call it?
Legion of Doom or Boom. And they're a defense unto their own. They are very good. They do leave the defensive or the offensive coordinator of the opposition and the quarterback second guessing themselves often and wondering, trying to decipher what is it exactly they're trying to do here. That being said, the Cardinals did have some success moving the ball. Every team the Vikings have played seemed to have moments of success moving the ball, and that's to be expected. I mean, it's the other guys on the other side of the field, even if it's a terrible team in a terrible city with terrible fans and terrible stadium, they got pros too, and they've got some good coaches, and they kind of know what they're doing. But the Vikings defense stepped up when they had to again yesterday, and they did it again in that final drive. Did that get credited as a sack when they stripped Kyler Murray of the ball? Is that called a sack? That's what I thought they were saying on the telecast, but maybe I'm wrong because that was a big play. It was the first time we got.
Did they strip him of it, or he just drop it?
Well, I thought it hit out of his hand, didn't it? Or did he just drop it? I thought it got hit by one of the defensive linemen going by. I don't know who it was. I thought somebody got a hand on it, dropped the ball, and Murray recovered.
Yeah.
But then it was on the next play.
That's considered a sack.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Then they got a sack on that. And, of course, I don't know if it was the very next play, but it was the interception by
and
Shackler.
they were having trouble getting to him for the most of the game.
They were.
He was good.
Kid's clever. He is. I don't know why. They don't seem to run him on any design plays very often. They did a couple.
I think early in his career he had a lot of injury stuff from running the ball.
That makes sense.
They want to try to preserve him.
But I thought there were times in that game. Here's the other thing I want to ask you. We talked about what I thought was a blunder by Gannon in late in the fourth quarter by not trying to go for it on fourth and goal.
Can I add on to that one?
Yes, absolutely.
I'd
love you to.
The other part that goes into it, right? Like it's Vikings either got to get a touchdown or a field goal, depending on what decision they make. But because of the field position, when Arizona decides to kick the field goal, Vikings need a touchdown. Well, they're kicking off. On average, you're starting from the 30-yard line, right? So you don't need to go 70 yards to get your touchdown. Mm-hmm. Assuming that fourth and goal from the 4 is an incomplete pass and they just stay at the 4-yard line, you're still having to go 56 yards minimum.
Yep.
To get into, and even that's a long field goal.
Correct.
That ain't it's not a gimme from there. So, like even just the yardage difference is pretty close to being negligible. So to me, it's just a no-brainer to go for it and put the game away in that spot.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't.
And when you're starting at your own 4 in that situation, down 3, you're not thinking, hey, let's get 96 yards for the game-winning touchdown.
Correct.
Here. I mean, it could happen. Something can happen. You can break loose. I get it. But
yes, and
you're thinking, let's get 50 yards and get into field goal range.
And then you have to be careful because you're on your 4 and if you're going to pass, you're dropping back into your own end zone. More than likely, your first down play, you're going to try to give yourself a little more breathing room. So you're going to use one. Yeah. And if you stop them on the run and now it's 2nd and 8, I mean, it just seemed odd. And what I wanted to say was, most of your head coaches, they're pretty bright guys, right? In almost every case, the guy was either a very highly regarded and successful defensive coordinator or an offensive coordinator, right? And when you think about it, and again, sometimes I think it's a complicated game. I will say that. I mean, unless you are real adept at picking up. I mean, put it this way, be Ben Lieber knows more about the game, football than you and I do. He can see things that you and I don't. These guys put together some pretty exotic game plans, pretty exotic individual plays. I mean, they're very bright, right? Because it's a chess match with not only are you putting together your game plan, but you're wondering What is the other team going to do to counteract that? Why are most of the guys really good at that, yet they're terrible at just managing the game late in the game?
Yes.
You see it so often.
Which is the easiest part.
It's this most simple part of the game. I mean, anybody watching, I'm screaming at the TV. I go, I can't believe the Cardinals aren't trying to go for a touchdown here. What are they doing? And you're delighted. Now, I did get a response on a tweet when I tweeted that. When I tweeted out that Olsen's spot on about that. And someone said, I'm with you, Common, but I'm terrified if they do go for it that they're going to score. So, and I would be too, as a Viking fan, when they decided not to go for the touchdown, happy. I was thinking, they gave them a chance. Now, they might not have scored on 4th and goal from the 4. I get that. But if they do, it's over one play. And don't you have some play in your back pocket for that kind of a situation that you think might work? Doesn't guarantee it will. So it worked out in the Vikings' favor. But then Sam had to do what Sam did. We talked about how the Vikings had 75 yards in the first half, and the third quarter didn't start out much better. Didn't we go 3 and out on our first possession in the third quarter? I think we got the ball, and then we went to start the second half, and we went 3 and out. Hold on. Maybe instead of my phone, I need to write things out on a piece of paper so I can have it. I can have like a spreadsheet in front of me like the good shows do. Darnold, last 3 possessions, tend to be 12 of 17 for 156 yards, 2 tutties, no interceptions. He was really good in the second half. Not so much in the second, but in the late third quarter and into the fourth quarter.
Well, and for about the 6th consecutive week, I'm going to say the same thing I've said to you 6 weeks in a row. Sam Darnold this year, when they've needed an offensive drive of some sort, he has come through.
Old Sam Darnold has an arm, E-I-E-I-O, with a tutty here and a tutty there. Do you have any concerns about Aaron Jones going forward? 2 fumbles yesterday. Was it 5 fumbles in the last 4 games? Is that the number?
It's not been good, yeah. He's been Mr. Butterfingers.
Recovered the first one. Was it the second one that we didn't recover? Was it one?
Yeah, the second one he caught a pass, but he was bobbling it. Right. And by the time he secured it, they just punched it out.
That led to a field goal, I think, a figgy. Was that the one where...
Well, the Vikings defense, that was their best stand of the entire day, right? Because they held them to just 3.
Yes.
When the ball was already placed on their side of the 50.
Yeah, it was... There was a... That was another situation where they went backwards. The Cardinals did once they got down deep into Vikings. It happened twice. Once in the first half, and then again in the second half when the Cardinals were trying to score the go-ahead touchdown. Both cases, the Vikings defense rose up, and the Cardinals had no answer for them, and they lost yardage. They ended up having to settle for it. Matter of fact, in that first half, the Cardinals had was it a 3rd and goal from the 6th or 3rd and 6 inside the 10 for a first down, and they ran the ball?
Yes.
I mean, sometimes...
That's outsmarting yourselves.
Sometimes you can catch a team off. You do that when you have Sonic and Knuckles.
Correct.
Sonic and Knuckles, because you got 2 different types of back...
And that offensive line.
Yes, Detroit does that all the time. They did it against the Bears. They had 2 or 3 times on Thanksgiving where they said, well, yeah, we know it's 3rd and 6, but guess what? We're running the ball because we can. Why the Cardinals ran the ball there, I don't know. It seems like a coach that's not too sure about his team, doesn't trust his team, really playing it close to the vest. And, late in that fourth quarter, we talked about it. Murray hits Trey McBride for 9 yards. That sets up a 1st and goal for Minnesota from the 5. Leading 19-16, the Cards had a chance to go up 2 scores. They lost 20 yards in 2 plays. Flag for a false start on the first, intentional grounding on the second, and then they had to settle for that field goal, which they never should have done. So good for the Vikings. We'll talk some more about Aaron Jones, about the Vikings in general. Want to talk something about Sam Darnold, something controversial. I have something controversial to say about Sam Darnold. We'll do that as well. We'll take a break. We'll start the 1 o'clock hour out with 5-3-4 unless the coach begins right on time. Otherwise, 5-3.
Let's face it, we're starting 5-3-4.
Right. And then the head coach will be at sometime after 1 o'clock. What do you got for a tease, Tenna?
Oh, yeah, I got Wolves, Wild, Gopher football, and a little NFL no huddle if we can get to all of it.